In a world where war never ends, one man carries the weight of a generation, survivor of the battlefield, bringing you hard truths and hot lead, reviews from the locker, and trips to the meat grinder. Now he's taking you behind enemy lines, not into combat, into truth, stories from 1st Recon Battalion, with no BS conversations. Marine, veteran, Brad Iceman Colbert, where legends tell it like it is. This is not just a podcast, it's a mission.
Hey, welcome to another edition of the Carry On Podcast. Brad Colbert, the Iceman, and I have a very special guest with me this evening, a Marine that I have known for an extremely long time that has gone on to do some amazing things, and somebody who I have spent an extremely intense amount of time with. The always awesome, always sarcastic, and always smarter than I am, Ray Person.
Hey.
So I really appreciate you being here. And I wanted to start off with a question that I know is going to annoy you, and we'll just set the tone right there. Hollywood has done a really good job of pumping out a lot of movies about war, about the Iraq war, about a lot of other wars. And so I think a lot of the mainstream civilians have an understanding of what war culture is like, what military is like, and a lot of what you and I did and what you and I know dispel that. So how do you react when somebody comes up to you with a generation kill question and asks, hey, is that what it was really like?
And I placate them. I give them, I think what they're looking for. You know what I mean? You can kind of tell somebody's angle on when they ask that, kind of what they're looking to get out of it. So I go ahead and give it to them. Okay. It's how to say it. Like if I ran into somebody that I idolized or something I was fascinated with, I would want them to at least placate me, right? Or to give me, some sort of like real nod to my question. So I try to reciprocate that to other people. Right?
That's
treat people the way you want to be treated. You know,
absolutely. I like that.
I also do like to throw in little tidbits, like to make them feel like they now have an inside scoop into information that's not generally known,
like
kind
your
of thing.
Underwear size, stuff like that.
Yeah, like the size of my penis.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Yeah. I promised myself I wouldn't try and steal Rudy Reyes' spotlight with that kind of topic, so we'll stray somewhere else. We'll just kind of push.
We'll see how much you drink and whether your shirt stays on. So.
This shirt definitely stays on. Yeah, I can promise you that.
I pulled this out of the closet just for you for today.
Yeah, and I put on one of similar ilk. That's a classic old school logo, and it looks like it's been kept in good shape. So that's awesome, man. And so along the 1st Recon vein, why don't you remind everybody what drew you to the Marine Corps and what drew you to Recon specifically?
So I was a fat nerd in high school, and I was doing a paper for Advanced American History, like a dual enrollment college course, and I don't know how it happened, but I came upon the paper I ended up doing was on like special operations, right? So I was researching, and not just U.S., but like I was researching, the SEALs, the SF, the Green Berets, the Israelis, like all these things. And I stumbled across Recon Marines as well, which that's where I first even learned that they existed. And I found myself kind of questioning sort of like, where do these men come from that become that fill these roles, right? Because, growing up in the 80s, it's all Delta Force and Chuck Norris and, Jean-Claude Van Damme and all these really over-the-top badasses. And so I almost started thinking like, is there like some place in Ohio or do they like breed them like Sparta or something? Like seriously, I'm from middle of fucking nowhere in nowhere, Missouri, And so, and then I really started reading through what the requirements were to do it, like, oh, this many pull-ups and this many sit-ups and this run time and this is what their screening process looks like, right? As part of my research. And I was like, holy fuck, I think I can do this. I think what helped too was at the time I was going through what I jokingly refer to my midlife crisis at 17, right? Yeah. Where I was tired of being a fat nerd. And so I started running like 6 miles a day and going to the gym, and I'd lost a ton of weight. And so I already knew the run times that I could have. I already knew how many pull-ups I could do. And so I was reading this and I was like, holy fuck, I could do this. These men don't come from some special place in Ohio, right, where they breed them. They come from all over the place. And at the time, too, there's always a weird convergence of multiple things, right? Growing up in a small town, you kind of get typecast, right? So the dumb kids are expected to join the military or join the factory or do whatever dumb kids are supposed to do. And smart kids are supposed to become doctors and lawyers and, all that kind of stuff. Right. And so I had, from a really young age, thought that I wanted to become a doctor. That's what I was going to be going to college to do. Is
proctology, I would imagine.
Probably proctology,
yeah. Most likely, yeah.
No, honestly, I probably would have become a plastic surgeon or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Because that way I'm not like, nothing's an emergency, right? Like Becky needs this new set of tits.
Nothing wrong with new set of boobs.
If I miss that appointment, it's not the end of the world, kind of thing.
Right.
Maybe do some pro bono stuff for like people with like burn scars and shit like that too.
Sure.
But low pressure, right? And so I had this midlife crisis, right? Had me questioning everything. And so I thought, I don't really know what I want to do. I know that's what everybody tells me that what I want, but what do I actually want? And I was like, I don't know. And so I saw the opportunity. I was like, I really like the recon Marine kind of underdog aspect of things. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it, all of this. I'm going to call the recruiter and become a recon Marine. And so I found that there was an enlistment code that they were doing at the time,
right?
Like 11F, or I don't know what the code was, but I knew it all because I was doing the research. So I called a recruiter and I said, hey, I want to enlist. This is the code that I want on there to become a recon Marine. And he came and signed me up.
Now, what year was that?
1999.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were in for 4 years?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Marine Corps transformed you or changed you, or did it just bring out what was always there to the forefront?
I think it just brought out what was already there.
Okay.
I think that's for me personally,
Do you regret only doing 4 years, or were there times where you wish that you had stayed in longer, done more?
Initially when I first got out, I kind of maybe thought I would regret it. But looking back and very quickly after, I kind of knew before I even went in that I was not going to do it as a career. There were too many other things I wanted to do. And for me, the Marine Corps was to help me cleanse my palate, right? It was the ginger between courses. And so it allowed me time to push myself, go see the world, go find out what I actually wanted to do.
Nice. And it just so happened that you enlisted during a pivotal moment in our country's history. Mm-hmm. And when you first arrived, you were assigned to 1st Recon Battalion.
Yeah.
And when did you and when did you come into the team?
It was 2000. So Danny Redman and I came over from ARS, the Real Recon Producing School.
Which is closed, by the way. I don't know if that has any bearing into your lineage. Just
I know. I mean,
they did shut it down.
There only so much good can come out of a place before it's tapped out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, clearly it was tapped.
Yeah.
So you and Dan Redmond came over.
So Dan Redmond and I came over in 2000. We both got chopped to 2nd Platoon because it was 1st Recon Company at the time still,
Yep.
right? Yep. You guys had just started your MEU workup.
Yeah.
And we were going to be headquarters bitches is what they thought they were going to do with us. And so Joe Croninger and those that were running the head shed, they got the idea once we got there that, hey, why don't we put these guys in teams? Now we can have 4 teams, right?
Yeah.
So I got put into Jose's team.
Sabalsa.
Yep. Jose de Jesus Sabalsa Magalon.
Yes, that's right. And I know that name well.
Yep. In 2000, and we started MEU workups immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were on deployment when the towers were hit, and we were in Afghanistan that winter.
Yep.
And after all of that experience, there was a short break before we invaded a small country in the Middle East. You're probably familiar with it, Iraq.
Yep.
And let's talk about that for a little while. So it's been quite some time since that war was adjudicated, and history has definitely put it through the ringer. Do you think that the war that we fought was justified? And I don't want to do revisionist history. I'm just through the lens of 2025, looking at where that country is now, looking at where we are in the world. Worth it?
I don't think any war is worth it, honestly.
Okay, that's
Right.
a bad answer, but I like it. I mean, I'm certainly not in the mood to get my war on for no reason. But do you think that the country of Iraq is better off today with our involvement, or?
I think it's petering along the same as it would be if we weren't even there.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I thought about that quite a bit, whether that country would have been better off or worse off if we had or had not gone in. I don't know. I think that at the end of the day, Hussein was a despot and he probably should have been deposed. But man, we fucking made so many mistakes. And not the initial invasion, but everything that came after, how we nation built, how we occupied it as a force. And then even to this day, how we are shepherding it through its evolution, and it's definitely fared better than its neighbor, Afghanistan. But yeah, wow, quite a few mistakes were made. But that's looking back at it from this vantage point.
Right.
And you and I in 2003 obviously had no idea what the long-term impacts of that engagement were going to be. But
honestly, at the time, it felt really good. If the point, I think, how to say this. I'm not a psychopath, right? But I'm a realist, I guess you could say, where, certain things happen, and that's just, things happen. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get bent out of shape out of it. So the Iraq War initially was just, this is just another thing they want us to go do. I was impassionate about it. Right. But then one of the interesting points was when we ran into the Bedouins. Remember when we got to the area where they had all those canals dug?
Yes.
And that was Saddam had dug those canals to drain the marshes because the marshland Muslims lived down there. That was in kind of southern Iraq.
Yes.
And we started running into them, and these people literally had no shoes and were living in tents, and they were like, "Fuck yeah, guys." And they were grabbing shovels and pitchforks, and they were like, "We'll jump on your Humvees and go fucking attack Baghdad with you."
It was, it was interesting.
And I was like, okay. Here's a people who have literally been trying to be exterminated. And now we come in and they are so happy and so ready to go fight and kill with us, So I was like, okay, there's some good that comes out of this. You know what I mean?
And I think, circling back to, again,
it's all scope, I guess.
It is scope. I think that our ends were justified, but I certainly question some of the means in which we used to get there. There was a lot of gallows humor that took place between the group during that time. Do you think that was a defense mechanism on your behalf? Do you think that your level of sarcasm was your emotional armor so as not to have to process what was taking place?
Yes, I think it actually is processing what's taking place. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Right? So if there's an elephant in the room, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger until somebody points it out.
Right.
Once somebody points it out, it gets smaller and smaller. So if you start pointing out the obvious, even though everybody knows it, you're saying you're speaking the elephant's name, right? And it gets smaller and smaller, and it makes it easier to deal with too.
Yeah.
Also, it's kind of funny because, how to say it? Trying to think of the best way to phrase this. I think I've kind of said it before, but things are funniest when they're most inappropriate. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So,
And it's definitely a way to process.
right.
It's definitely a way to break the tension. But I liked your explanation that the best way to, sort of identify the elephant in the room is to point at it and go, hey, there's an
There it
elephant.
is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing. And as much as you definitely frustrated me at times, I always appreciated the levity that you brought to the situation, no matter how grim it was. And I thought that made for a pretty good working relationship for the brief period that we were there, and then there was also plenty of other people that were involved in that dynamic too,
It also is how ADD people like fucking think, right? Like I have two boys now that they think out loud.
Yeah.
And they're exactly like me. There's God's karma, right? I got two of me now. And so they just think out loud. That's just what they do. And so I think at that point in my life too, I was the same way. I thought out loud.
So your kids, and I don't want to get too personal if it's inappropriate, no problem. But have they seen the series or read the book? Are they aware of your place in history?
Not really. So my oldest has. So he snuck the book off of the bookcase and read it, much to his mother's chagrin. At 13. And, or actually, I think a little bit younger than that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
If it was my wife's way, they would not read it until they're 30, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
No doubt. So,
and then he really wanted to watch the series, and my wife said no. She said no, and then she finally broke down as she's like, "Okay, let's watch this, but we have to watch it together, so that we can provide you with context as to what's actually happening here." Because at that point, when they get to a certain age, all their friends talk about it, because you become somebody that people whisper about when you're not there. Like, "Oh, Josh is blah, 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 blah," right? And so everybody kind of knows, but they're afraid to ask directly, kind of deal. So he knew about it from some of his friends who's heard it from their dads and all that kind of stuff. My twins, they're 11 now. They're just starting to realize this now. Like they had a teacher at school that was told by somebody, and I guess he had the book at school the other day.
Ooh, okay.
And he goes, and I guess he opened it up and he's like, "Why didn't you tell me your dad was in this book?" And they're like, "Because we didn't know."
Yeah. Yeah. And
Kinda
they're
deal.
probably too young to digest a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did your older one understand the context of the conflict? Does he know enough about the Iraq?
He does. So my oldest is sort of an old man in a kid's body, right? He's like an 80-year-old dude, like he could move out on his own right now, kind of deal, at 15 and be fine.
God, that'd be amazing. I'd love that. If my kids
He would be
get a job.
responsible. He would pay his taxes.
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
pay the light bill. He would do all the things responsibly that he's supposed to do. And so, yeah, he did understand the context of it. My twins, again, they're two of me, right? They probably won't have the context until they're in late teens or early 20s or something like that, really.
And did you have to unpack or explain anything to your older one about
Not too much, really.
No?
I mean, there would be times when we would pause things and we would be like, okay, so this is why this means this, and this is why that happened. But it was just kind of here or there. And sometimes he would pause it and be like, okay, so what's going on here with this? So it was poignant questions that he would ask throughout, but it wasn't something where we had to belabor the whole process, right?
Okay. And nothing that took place that made you cringe and wish, oh dear God.
Watching the whole thing made me cringe.
It's the same way with me.
I hadn't seen it. I had seen a few episodes in the beginning, but then watching it so many years later,
100%.
I'm like, oh my God, this is so cringy.
Yes, I do know. I mean, it's the same way with me. And this probably isn't going to resonate with some of our folks, but it's like listening to yourself on the answering machine. I just sound like an idiot. And I'm like, please, somebody lie to me. Tell me I don't sound like that all the time.
Well, and then too, in the series, right, they kind of typecast us a little bit too. You know what I mean? And made us not exactly who we really are.
I always tell people that the book is about a 90 to 95% solution. The TV show, it's about an 80.
Yeah. Well, you give it more than me.
You do? Okay. What do you say?
So the book, I think, is spot on. Depending on your perspective, right? As long as you have the understanding that the book is written from like a PFC perspective, without a lot of context of what the Marine Corps is and higher level thought processes on certain things, it makes perfect sense, right? And then the series, I think, is I give it like a 60%.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. They did a lot of copy and paste. There was a lot of things that were said that were not said by the people that said them.
Like it's an interpretation of an interpretation of an interpretation.
A little bit in some ways. Yeah. But I think that there's always a creative license that has to take place. Evan's job was to document it with a high degree of fidelity.
Correct.
And then he had control over the book and how it was published. But the screenplay of that book was really out of his hands.
Correct.
So I will give kudos to the technical advisor on the project.
Eric Cucker,
who did a decent job. Okay, I said it.
And Dirty Earl. And you got to give Dirty Earl some props.
Yeah, and Dirty Earl. So they did a good job, I feel, of making sure that the characters were at least realistic.
They reined a lot of stuff in to keep it from being a Michael Bay movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And David Simon is not the type of person that wants hyperbole in his products. This is a guy that did The Wire. Yeah. A lot of people have good things to say about him. So I thought.
As far as his ideas or his thinkings about the films, because I kind of helped out for quite a bit of it as well. And what I liked about David Simon is he kind of said, I want a Marine to be able to watch this and not see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even when they were writing new dialogue, he said, I wanted to keep what they said, even though we made it up, within context of what the guy might have actually said.
And authentic.
Like personality wise, would he have said these types of things? Then let's do it that way.
Right.
And he did that a lot with Evan as well. He relied on Evan heavily to say, hey, I kind of want this character to say these types of things. And Evan would give him the thumbs up or the thumbs down on whether that fits that guy's personality. Right.
Yeah. So speaking of Evan, as you know, he passed and under some pretty unfortunate circumstances. And I had spoken to him probably about 6 months prior to him taking his life. He was intending to come out here to visit. It had been a while. He had a family. He had a newborn that had some issues that he was working out, some health issues. And it seemed like that was, being resolved and he was going to, come out. And then I got a call from Lily who said, hey, I don't know if you know this, but he had killed himself. What was your contact with Evan prior to his death? How recent had you spoken to him? And was there anything that gave you an indication that this was coming?
So I had talked to him. He and I texted back and forth a little bit about 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
and nothing really came. Evan was kind of an odd duck to begin with, right? Like, kind of reminded me of like a burnout. You know what I mean? Like that kind of go with the flow, chill, kind of burnout personality. And so I honestly didn't see anything off. And honestly, even a few months before that, I was at his house. His wife made ribs and we all ate at his house.
Okay.
Met with his kids. And again, everything seemed totally fine there, but it's hard to peg an odd duck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're always an odd duck. It's hard to tell when they're being odd from being odd, you know?
I do know. And Evan and I had spent not just during the conflict, but a lot of time together afterwards because of our geographical proximity in the Southern California region. And we commiserated on a whole host of things and you know, broke bread together. And it was never anything, and I know we had some demons, but it was never anything that I expected to see from him.
Yeah.
And especially more tragic, and suicide is always tragic, make no mistake, but because of the tender age of his children.
Right.
So I was really, I was devastated to hear that.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few people. I don't know if you remember Adam Weber.
Yep.
Because he took his life as well.
Last year.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. And he was working on the same kind of programs that I was, governmental programs. And there's been a few other people, and it seems, people call it an epidemic. I don't like that word because I think it's a cliche and it doesn't really codify the gravity of this situation. But if, for lack of a better word, it does seem like there's a, epidemic of veterans taking their lives, and nobody can point to a specific reason why. But do you think that the military, through the VA or as a home component, is doing a good job of identifying and helping with this problem?
That's a heavy question. Not really. And part of the reason is because, and it's not even the VA's fault, right? Like, how many times do you go to the VA and the first questions they ask you are all about suicidal thoughts and have you ever thought about that? I mean, they're doing what an institution can do to try and deal with it, but it's not something that can be solved with an institution. Does that make sense?
Okay. How would you solve it then?
Honestly, I think it can't be done at that high level. It has to be done on a much smaller level. And part of it is because every situation they're all generally the same, but they all have their own uniqueness, right? So like, you have to even look at, right? So maybe there's confirmation bias in the whole suicide thing to begin with, right? It appears as though there is a high suicide rate within former military guys. But if you look at former military guys, they're all pre-selected personality types, right? That are already willing to do things that are more extreme, that are at least mildly comfortable with death, right? So you take a group of the population and you pre-select it for these certain qualities. There's more than likely going to be some sort of correlation with other qualities, one being maybe proclivity to suicide. So I think the better thing to do is to take a step back and make sure that it's not a confirmation bias thing.
Yeah.
Where okay, it appears as though it's higher, but that's because we're pre-selecting for that type of behavior to begin with.
A lot of these people are predisposed to this behavior, and then you hyper energize them with experiences, and then you dump them back into their baseline. So I
think I think the vast majority of problems with veterans going off the rails, especially wartime veterans, people that have been in combat, things like that, is almost more of an identity thing issue than anything. It's, I had overthrown 2 governments by the age of 23, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you take a 23-year-old that was responsible for that much stuff? I mean, yes, it wasn't me by myself, right? But I had been party to overthrowing 2 governments by that age, and now I joined some corporate office where they think you're retarded and not capable of anything, right? And so it becomes this weird identity crisis where I used to be a god amongst men, especially if you were a recon Marine, what most people would consider an elevated position within the military, right? To then being just a random idiot.
It
You know what I
is,
mean?
yeah. And it's, yes, I do know what you mean.
So it becomes, who am I now?
Yeah.
If I'm not that badass thing anymore,
Right.
now what am I?
And there's nobody to bond with. There's nobody to have that esprit de corps with, because the people that you're working with post-military, they didn't go through what you went through, and they don't have the identity that you do. And it's, I think, one of the reasons why organizations are so healthy and important to veterans, because it gives them a place to feel amongst brotherhood again. And that is one of the, I know for me anyways, the worst not regret, but the thing that I felt the biggest loss over when I left the Marine Corps was just a lack of camaraderie and esprit de corps that you have when you're in a close-knit unit like that. So no, I think your comments are valid. And I think that it's a problem that probably should be looked at from a holistic viewpoint instead of just it's a veterans issue. No, it's probably more than that. So a lot of what we have tried to do on the podcast is remove the stigma from mental health and try to speak towards veterans issues, suicide, obviously, but PTSD, trauma, things of that nature. So I always like to get somebody's opinion
I thought PTSD was the biggest bag of bullshit ever, that people used to get free shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For a long time. And it wasn't till some people that we know kind of went off the deep end.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, maybe there is something to this, right? Again, I think maybe I'm blessed because I'm mildly sociopathic or something like that. And I have a really easy time being like, well, that's just what happens, and moving on with my day. But not everybody is like that. And to see people that you know and trust going through those things, that's what made me think, okay, there is really something to this.
Yeah, definitely something to it. And I think that it's probably not getting the level of, I don't want to say the level of tension, because I'm not suggesting that you need a media campaign and wear a blue ribbon and wear a rubber bracelet. I mean, it's not getting the clinical attention that I think it needs, because the military medicine and VA medicine is just really slow. It's cumbersome. It lumbers along. And I don't think it's really identifying some of the new treatment modalities that are available for PTSD. But, they're coming along. It's just slow. So what would you say to your children then if they said, I want to enlist?
I did not work this hard in my life for you to throw yours away.
That's a popular.
I've told them that many times.
Yeah, I fortunately
It really just depends on why they're joining, right? If they're wanting to join to follow dad's footsteps kind of thing, I'm going to slap them upside the head.
Okay.
I don't know what the right answer to why would be, but I'm sure there is one.
Okay. Well, I mean, what if it was something along the vein that you expressed early, which was, I want to challenge myself. I want to see if I have what it takes to get this accomplished. I want to push the envelope.
Yeah.
What if it's not something as simple
I
as
don't know. Now the dad in me is awakened. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I want my kids to be better than me. Right. Yeah. And why spend 4 years of your life finding yourself when you can use that 4 years to, make a shit ton of money or whatever.
But it helped mold you. It helped give you the ethos.
It did, but I came from a different place, right? I think to truly be effective, you have to come, how to say it, to truly be effective in the military, I don't think you can come from a pampered childhood.
Okay. That just tees up a softball. So your kids have been very pampered.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. I did not work this hard in my life for them to throw theirs away, right?
Do you think that
I worked my ass to the bone so that they don't have the childhood that I had.
Yeah. No, it's a fair point. And we always want better for our children. And I probably would have a very similar conversation if it came to my doorstep as well. So I empathize with that. Do you think that the military, and I'm not limiting that to the Marine Corps, but do you think that the military culturally is the same today as it was when you?
Absolutely not.
And what's changed? I have my own opinions, but I want to hear yours.
From the outside looking in, right?
Yeah.
Thank God I got out when I did. And this is across all branches, but even within the Marine Corps, you hear the horror stories of all the DEI shit and all of the like sensitivity training and all of the like shit that's not military, right? It seems like, again, from the outside looking in, that the military as a whole completely lost their way and stopped being a fighting, killing machine and turned into almost like a social experiment and a political leverage, right?
But it's always been that way at some point.
It has, right? It's always going to fluctuate between things like that. I don't know if I could have dealt with Garrison Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I always jokingly say I had the perfect Marine Corps enlistment.
You did.
It was wars or school the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
You hit the sweet spot. No doubt about it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got in, war, school, war, school, out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I could not have handled Garrison Marine Corps.
A lot of people can. Even in the recon community, it's rough. So do you think that Pete Hegseth's speech to the senior leadership of the armed forces was sort of a rudder correction back to the?
I think so.
Yeah.
I really like, at least, again, I'm not super deep into analyzing that and understanding it, but from what I have seen come out of that, it seems like a great course correction, in my opinion. One of the things that I really, really like is that leadership starts from the top down, right?
Yes.
You cannot hold, you should hold the highest rank to the same standard that you hold the lowest rank to, right? And you can't have a disparity between the two. So those sorts of things I applaud, actually.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. I think that getting back to our core values, and I mean that in the most generic of, not Marine Corps, but
right,
DOW, is healthy. I think that remembering why the military exists is healthy. It's not a self-licking ice cream cone. It's not there to give people jobs, college education, and to give them a clean haircut. It's
right. It's to kill people.
It is to enforce the foreign policy of the United States for better or for worse. Now, we always hope that our civilian leadership are going to wield this sword appropriately, but you don't get to pick that.
Correct. You need to remain a sword.
Yeah, you need to remain a sword. And so I like you, appreciated the tone and the intent behind it. We can argue the politics till the sun comes up, and I don't want to do that, but I definitely liked where the intent was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting, especially as we look towards everything that's going on in the world today. And you have obviously Ukraine, Gaza, but also the ones that are yet to have been fought. A lot of people are anticipating Taiwan being invaded at some point, and there's a couple of different ways that can go down. And it's those type of future conflicts, whether it's
geopolitics, it's going on all the time.
All the time. The world is continually melting down.
And always will be.
It will.
Right.
And so it's that question that I look at is, are my children going to be of age during the next conflict? And do they give a fuck if it's an existential one? 9/11, was very much a galvanization of United States culture. And of course, the false patriotism that went along with it. But
Right.
it caused a lot of people to enlist. They wanted to represent. And so I wonder if such an event happens, but it happens in a foreign country, in a foreign shore, is it going to have that same effect on America? And is it going to cause a resurgence of enlistments? And is my kid?
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we had 9/11, and then we had, before that, the only other time that we've been really attacked is Pearl Harbor.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's not a very frequent thing, right?
Fortunately.
So honestly, the next conflict that we get into is not going to be one of those galvanizing conflicts. It's just going to be something where we throw people to a meat grinder. You know what I mean?
And it's interesting because
and most people don't give a shit.
Most people that aren't in the uniform don't give a shit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would want to have a serious conversation with my, child, whether they were going to enlist or not. If it meant, hey, you're going to go over to Taiwan, you're going to help defend that island against the Chinese amphibious invasion.
Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah. So, anyways, I digress. It is an interesting dichotomy because I'm a stickler for the rules, but I also fucking hate them. And I buck them at every turn. And I liked the Marine Corps because it has a code. There's a principle. It's like you can bend the rules, you can break some of them, but at the end of the day, there's a code that you have to follow. Well, and I like that. But you're right. Like
but it's all based on intent, right? So there are rules in the Marine Corps you can bend. There's rules in the Marine Corps you can break. But the reason that you can bend them and break them is because the intent of the rule you're adhering to. And sometimes to adhere to the intent, you have to break the rule.
Okay.
Right?
Interesting.
So,
but
for me, I hate rules. Well, I always jokingly say I only follow the rules I agree with, right?
Yes. That's why.
Which is what everybody does.
So many speeding tickets.
Right? Yeah. I only follow the rules I agree with. I'm not going to follow rules I don't agree with.
But in the moment, in a military anyways, that's a challenge. I think that it works in the reconnaissance community because of the independence and the decentralization and the trust that is placed in the very smallest of unit.
Correct.
On a larger scale, chaos.
Yes.
It's just fucking chaos.
Yes.
But it is interesting.
You may not know why you were told to do the thing you were told to do.
Right.
But a lot of things are relying on you to do it anyways.
So do you think that during the 2003 invasion, there was a lot of fog of war, there was a lot of ambiguity, and we questioned a lot. We questioned and bitched a lot, which a lot of people didn't like after the fact. But the leadership that was giving those instructions, the leadership still had trust and confidence in our abilities. It was never a question. And at least for me, I think that went a long way towards, all right, I'll eat this pile of shit because I have faith and confidence that you have noble intent. You do.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Do you think that the leadership that was demonstrated during that conflict was noble intent?
That depends.
Okay.
Right? I think honestly, half the leadership was all about looking good and getting medals.
Okay.
And setting themselves up for political office later.
Who specifically? You want to name names? Okay.
Nope.
Got it. I think that there's a granule of truth in what you said. I have to think about that as to how far out that ripples.
Or I think there's that. Maybe that's not as pervasive as I think I'm letting on, right? So I think that's let's say a quarter.
Okay.
A quarter of it was that.
Okay.
There's a quarter that was naively charged. We're the Marine Corps. Let's do everything by the book. That was another quarter, right? I think another quarter, and probably the one I had the most friction with, would be the power struggle quarter. And that's an interesting one. I've kind of explained it before, but when we went out as a team, like you as a team leader, you were the field commander.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Brad Colbert was the field commander.
Yeah.
You were the top dog.
Yeah.
You answered to no one. Right?
Yep.
And now we move with all of our headquarters elements. And now you've got a gunny that's your boss, or says he's your boss, right? You've got a lieutenant that says he's your boss. You've got a captain that says he's your boss. You've got a staff sergeant that says he's your boss, right? And I don't think it was as much with where we specifically were, but generally speaking, you had a lot of people that rank says I'm the boss, but operationally you're the boss. I'm going to enforce my power over you.
Yeah.
Right? You're my bitch now because you're near me.
It was
right?
a lot of by proxy.
It was I'm being a recon marine by proxy. Yes.
Yeah. It was very frustrating for me to go from what we did in Afghanistan to segue.
Mattis would give us commander's intent,
Yep.
and we would leave and go do it.
And it was great. And then that got fairly diluted for the reasons that I think you explained quite nicely during the 2003. But then after that, it got exponentially worse. I went back again in 2007 to Fallujah, and I was a platoon sergeant at that time. And it was incredible. Like, I thought, this is my platoon. I will manage them as I see fit. But that same layer of bureaucracy was very invasive over me. And I think as a country, we also lost our tolerance. We completely lost our tolerance for risk. When you and I were in Afghanistan, and even Iraq to a lesser extent, we operated like we trained: slick, fast, light, mobile, small team.
No Kevlars.
No
none
flak
jackets.
None of that stuff, right? We did immediate action drills. We had a shitload of ammo, and we practiced bounding, all that stuff. And then, you fast forward to 2007, and holy cow, you're wearing 100 pounds of shit.
Yeah.
And it suddenly became unacceptable to get injured, to get in risk in any form or fashion. And I thought that was a really unfortunate pill to swallow as a country, as a Marine Corps, that zero risk mentality, when the Marine Corps was at its very beginning trained to throw caution to the wind, to charge the fucking hill and stab anybody that got in your way.
Right.
So that was unfortunate period. I hope that we can go back.
Well, now you're making me enjoy the fact that I got out even more. So again, I would have probably been in the brig if I was in that type of environment. But
you did a great job of bucking the system as much as possible. And at each rank, it becomes a little harder and harder to throw, that much moxie in the face of your leadership.
Not to sound pretentious, but it's easy to do when you're smarter than the people that you're doing it against.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you're dealing with some colonel, right, or some captain or some major or first sergeant or gunny, I'll throw them in there even though.
Sure.
It's easy to ask digging questions that mock them in a way that they can't take as mocking or digging. Does that make sense? Because I did that quite a bit, especially when like Fernando came in and started trying to essentially make recon Marines on an assembly line. And I just asked some pointed questions, right? Oh, just dumb old me asking some questions.
Right.
That essentially express my disdain for that concept, right? You can't manufacture a boutique item, an artisanal item on a factory assembly line. You just can't, right? You're not going to get the end product you're looking for. And so I don't know, I guess as you move up, you start to meet your intellectual match, right? But yeah, it was pretty easy to do as a corporal or lance corporal or whatever. You know what I mean?
So how often do you keep in touch with the group that we were with in 2003? How many and how frequent?
It's hit or miss, right? I have my own life. Again, I think a lot of it's that identity issue thing. I have an identity. I'm a dad. I run a business, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'm a lot of things. I think I tend to keep in touch with a lot of people in a way that tries to keep them, help them stay in check.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
Like almost like a duty. It is fun to reminisce too, right? Like
sure.
It's when you run into the old high school buddy and you're like, oh, remember Miss Whatever's class? And it's fun to do that as long as that doesn't become like literally all you talk about and all you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Going back and partying until 4 a.m.
Yeah, that's not me. I don't do that.
Yeah. No, yeah. I understand. So there was an incident that took place during the conflict that was dramatized in the show. It was also published in the book. And I think we dealt with it on a platoon level in real time in the moment. And that was the instance that took place when Trombley shot a group of Bedouins that were on an airfield that we were told was occupied by no one else other than the enemy. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he engaged civilians, and we ended up treating one of them much to the displeasure of the sergeant major. I want to ask what your thought was on the ambiguity of that situation, what the morality of that situation was. And it speaks to some of the topics that we were talking about earlier, which is leadership and unclear orders. And then, do you follow them, and where do you decide to not follow them? So a couple of things there. We can start with, what was your take on that situation, and whether he was out of, I don't want to say out of line because he shot some fucking unarmed civilians, but right or wrong?
Yeah. So I say he was totally fine. Mm-hmm. Shit like that is going to happen. You do not stick 20-something-year-olds or hell 18-year-olds or whatever into a life or death situation like that, and then expect them to make perfect decisions with 20/20 hindsight all the time, right? That stuff is going to happen. It's just going to happen, right? Was it unfortunate that happened? Yes, obviously. Was that something like that going to happen? 100%.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised it didn't happen with any greater
frequency. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're the one pulling the trigger, right? So you get to make that final decision. He just happened to make a poor one.
Right.
In hindsight, a poor one, right? He could have made a great one if they started open fire on us, right? Or later set up an ambush and whatever on us, right? You don't know the future. And so I'm not going to judge him by the decision he made at that point in time. Yeah. That's what happens when you invade a country and are trying to stay alive.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I have zero problems with it whatsoever.
I didn't have a problem with what took place when he pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I took issue with the way that the unit handled the results. I feel that, we had at least a tacit responsibility to the civilians that we shot just to make sure that they were not going to, bleed out. And maybe it's because as a parent, I have a soft spot for a kid with a bleeding, stomach wound, but I definitely don't have an issue with what Trombley did. I just would have appreciated maybe handling it a little bit better after the fact. But,
maybe it's the country boy in me or something, but when the dog gets hit by the car or something, you just shoot it and put it out of its misery and throw it in the ditch. You know what I mean? Like, that's my take on the whole thing.
Sure.
I just would have moved on and not thought about it again. That's what happens. This is war.
So let me ask you this.
You know, I'm not going to cry over every.
No, absolutely not.
Right.
Shit does happen, and I don't have an issue with that. And if we were pressed for time, or if it was a casualty in the middle of a firefight, it would have been a blip on my radar, and I would have completely moved on.
But the fact that we were stationary,
we were sitting there,
we were waiting on things,
and they came up,
and now it's in your face.
Now it's in your face, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna put a bullet in their head now.
Right.
I mean, so can we at least, we have an hour or two.
Let's pretend to get something rallied.
So that, I think that was the only point that I would bring up. So I
was trying to catch a few Z's because we had been,
it had been going for a while.
Honestly, and this is to Trombley's credit too, we had been awake for days at that point.
Yes. Moving fast. And I mean, nobody anticipated that we were going to move as fast as we did, outstripping all of our supply lines. We didn't expect the Iraqi country to capitulate as fast as they did.
Yeah, very shortly after that, we had to start eating the hume rats.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Like
we ran out.
Day or two after,
Oh, fuck yeah. It was in so many ways one of the greatest successes military campaign wise, and in others, some of the biggest failures.
Right.
And it's just such an interesting dichotomy across the board.
We were a great dice roll, and it worked out, right?
Yeah, it did. And it could have gone any other way, but it didn't. Mm-hmm. It went our way, and it was good. Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that we didn't lose a single person, not one person. Yes, Patrick got wounded.
Yeah, we had casualties.
Yes.
We had, what was it, Patrick? And we had, what's his face with his forearm?
Yes.
He took the bullet in the first ambush.
Yes. But that was it.
Yeah.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, especially considering how fast and where you're moving and tip of the spear and the size of the unit. But I wanted to ask you, of all the Marines that you worked with, in the 4 years, and I appreciate the fact that it's short, but you've also met folks after the fact. Is there anybody that you would unquestionably follow, even if you knew it was a bad idea?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't unquestionably follow anybody while I was in either.
Good.
You know,
that's an honest answer. I like it.
At the end of the day, I'm my own person, so I make the rules for me.
You are your own person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're aware of what some of the fellas are doing post Marine Corps for their next chapter of the life. Reyes being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
so beautiful.
Yes, everybody agrees. So beautiful and so paper thin. So what exactly was his suggested tagline for this show? I think he suggested one.
No, he didn't suggest it, but I did think of a great one. So I think you really missed the tag on this podcast. You could have called it Big Gay Brad's Big Gay Podcast.
Damn it. I didn't even think about it.
I think that would have been on the nose.
It's not too late.
Right. Yeah.
It's not too late to change. Look for the Carry On Podcast to be rebranded soon.
We can have Matt and Trey Parker maybe draw something up for you.
Small penis, googly eyes. Love it. Can't wait. But I think Rudy's going to be pissed because, that does take away his demographic.
Yeah, it does.
It does a little bit. Okay.
There's enough to eat there, right? For everybody.
We'll share. Share. Yeah.
Yep.
I dig it.
And on that note, on the whole podcast thing, I'm never fucking calling you Iceman.
That's okay.
That's the gayest thing ever.
Yeah. Yep. and a lot of everything, not everything, but a lot of what I do is completely over the top and sarcastically so. And I like it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Funny story. It was some guy. I think he was a recon. He was a recon Marine after my time. And you guys were in Iraq together. And he ran into you. Maybe he was a recon Marine, maybe he was an infantry guy. I forget what it was.
Okay.
I think you were a gunny at the time or something like that.
Okay.
And he ran into you and he called you Iceman and you chewed his ass. He's like, did. Yeah, he chewed my ass when I said Iceman. You never get to call me that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you should call him Big Gay Brad. That's what everybody that really loves him calls him.
I probably wouldn't have chewed his ass out as much. Yeah, it's a lot of over the top hyperbole. Aspera will have to unpack that if I ever have him on the show and explain where he came up with that moniker and why. But it haunts me to this day. I can tell you that. But yeah, man, like I said, I embrace it. The Iceman, and that's just what it is. Yeah. As long as they get the spelling right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do you misspell Iceman?
You'd be surprised.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like person. People misspell that all the time.
I don't know why.
They think they throw an A in there. Pearson.
That's Pearson.
Yeah, it sure is. They also put an S on the end a lot, like I'm persons, plural.
No.
Which the plural of person is people. Like, I don't know. That's not even a word, right?
It's got to be hard being you.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
The beard's nice. I got to say.
Thanks.
I really like it.
Thanks,
it's a good look.
It's my operator beard.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
The beard came. So when we had our twins, right? You have no time. Your time is gone, and so I just stopped shaving because I had no time to shave or to take a bath or anything really, and it just started growing, and I haven't cut it since.
It works. And no new ink. Like I expected to see you sleeved up and you're not. I thought that's what we all did when we left. And
no,
I'm glad. I am
all the
relieved.
tattoos I have are the ones I got in the Marine
same
Corps.
Ones. Yeah. Good. Nice. All right. I like it. What did you think of the Woodford Reserve Double Oak?
Yeah, it was good.
Did you care for another splash?
I would love some.
Yeah.
I like
No one's giving you Jason.
Just a little.
I think it's nice and smooth. Yeah. Very nice.
We just let this thing roll.
And it's got good spice. That's how I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
You'll
sir.
like my...
It's got a little smokiness to it, which I like, a peppery.
The bourbon that I make is a high rye bourbon, and I think you'd really enjoy it.
That's good.
Yeah, it's the double oak that you were pining over the last time.
No.
I'm the toughest guy in the room when no one else is around, okay? Remember that. Okay.
I'm the toughest guy in the room when my wife is not around.
That's right. Okay. So Evan was in our vehicle. Mm-hmm. I really didn't want him in the vehicle at first. I was pretty resentful of this reporter. It wasn't until much later that I was like, okay, he's not bad. He means well. He's not out to fuck everybody. And he kind of grows on you. That was my impression. What about you?
I actually kind of enjoyed the fact that he was with us, like early on, even from the very beginning, because who better than to have me my own person that writes all my stuff? Hey, write this down for me, right? Yeah. And go tell the world about all my great things I say, right? No, who doesn't want their own narrator, right? Especially for something like this,
right?
Because a lot of people go through have been to Iraq, right? A lot of people have been there, and a lot of people have done it. But it's really interesting that people lock on to us as somehow unique and special.
Yeah.
And we're not. There's thousands of people that did the same shit we did, if not worse, that nobody knows about, nobody cares about. People only care about us because somebody told our story.
Yeah.
You know?
But it was a story that a lot of people have said they identified with, even
correct
in the Army and Air Force and other branches that were on the ground. Like, yep.
That's how it is.
At an E5 and below level, that was war.
Yeah.
And he kind of got it right. Okay. So you had a different experience from the very beginning than I did.
And I wasn't a TL, right? I wasn't looking for image. I wasn't looking. Yeah. I'm just along for the ride. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm going to bounce here after a year, right?
Yeah.
You got to imagine, this is my mindset. I had a year left.
Yeah.
I'm bouncing after this. Like, I don't care. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make this a career. I'm not trying to impress anybody to gain a rank or do something else or to move into something else.
For me, it wasn't an issue as far as I was concerned about what was going to be written about. It was, I don't want to have to
him
look
getting in the way.
Yeah, I just don't want to look after another guy. I got my team.
Again, I'm not having to look after him because I'm not the TL.
Right.
And if he dies, well, that's just what happens in war. You know what I mean? That's my mindset on everything. Like, shit happens.
It is. Yeah.
Right?
And there
a
was
meteor could hit us right now and we'd all be dead. That's just what happens sometimes.
There's one up there. It's coming down.
Like, well, I'm not going to cry over it, You
never did get my comms helmet working, by the way.
Your comms helmet?
Yeah, you never did get my helmet to work properly. I'm very upset about that.
Well, I had the handset like rubber banded to my face to hold it there.
Yeah.
Boot banded to my face.
There was so much stick and rudder technology involved in that campaign.
The whole thing, like even like Blue Force tracking,
yes,
and all of that kind of stuff.
In its infancy.
And now we've got ATAC and all these other kind of crazy things, offline team comms. And
mesh networks, GoTennas.
Yep.
Trellisware, lots of it. It is an interesting evolution and one that I have followed with interest, the evolution of warfare, evolution of the, war.
I mean, just think about like Bridgeport.
Yeah.
When Raytheon or whoever it was gave us a Panasonic Tough Book with a NIC in it, a NIC card with a mil-spec connector on it that we connected to a fucking 119 or a 104 or whatever the hell we were using.
119.
And a Canon EOS 30 with the huge SD cards.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And we had to hump that up and down a mountain to take a picture and then black and white it and then draw little perimeter lines and a north-seeking arrow so commanders could see what they were getting ready to jump into.
And now they just fly an over-the-horizon drone and it's done in 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. It's definitely better, more efficient.
So I did want to touch on Evan. One thing that was kind of interesting. I always saw Evan as like a retarded Labrador. Does that make sense?
Golden Retriever.
Or Golden Retriever. That's what I meant. Not lab. A Golden Retriever.
Yeah.
Like just so nice.
Yeah.
And just not gullible, but seemingly gullible.
I think he played that pretty well.
He did play
because
that.
He was not gullible at all.
No. He was very insightful on certain things. He
used that aw shucks attitude to get in with his audience and to be an investigative journalist. Yeah.
Correct.
And it probably worked quite well.
And he just personally is like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a persona he does. I think that's truly, he's just inquisitive like that.
For him.
And sort of this is interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like a golden retriever smelling something weird in the woods.
Yeah.
It's a cow shit. Let me roll in it,
So he was pretty true to form. And I think a lot of the people that you and I went to war with were because we knew them beforehand. A lot of the guys that you and I were with in 2003, we were with in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So we had already been to Afghanistan at the infancy of the Afghan war. But then we also had an influx of people who we weren't with and we didn't know, folks like Trombley and some others. So do you think war brought out a difference in them, or did they simply, enhance their already existing traits?
No, I think war is like drinking, right? It brings out who you truly are more.
Okay.
It just amplifies who you are, right?
Okay.
When you're half the world away doing the most taboo thing a human can do, right? That's when you can be the most raw and naked with who you really are.
There is a lot. There's a beautiful peace and a beautiful symmetry almost to that whole conflict, because one of the things that I have always told people about war is that it strips away that social lubricant that we have lathered on us here in peacetime. And I'm not to suggest that you suddenly become a raging asshole, but the little things. You
call spades.
You're candid.
Mm-hmm.
You're candid over charisma. And I think that in a crisis is so important. And I so appreciate that in conflict. And I wish that we were able to do that more here?
Yeah. So like I have this fun memory that pops in my head every once in a while. It was when you and I were in the ambush in Alma-Wafakia,
Yeah.
right? So we'd come up to the bridge that I had stopped multiple times to say, I think there's something on the bridge, but you told me to keep going.
I was told to keep going.
Totally fucking right. Even though I was absolutely correct. And there was zero illume. You know, I was on a fucking shitty ass.
Yeah, PVS,
you know,
14,
yes.
single tube. Yeah.
And we pulled around. There was a tube blocking the way, right? Like a pipe or something.
Yeah.
And even after the ambush started, you and I are having a normal room volume conversation like we are right now.
Yeah.
We're speaking to each other with the same tone that we have right now about whether I should go around it or just drive over it. Who cares? Or should I not and let everybody come back? And you and I were having a conversation about what we should do here, right? As fucking bullets are flying everywhere.
Yeah.
Everyone has lost their mind, and hard keying the radio.
Yeah.
The radio's useless at this point, right?
Totally done.
Because nobody will let go of the receiver.
Right.
Meanwhile, you and I are literally in the epicenter of a fucking kill zone with bullets flying everywhere. Just having a conversation, just plain as day.
Yeah.
Like, I think we should go around it. Well, maybe they might have booby trapped that other side, so let's not. And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, nobody's listening on the radio anymore because that's gone. So I'm just going to go ahead and get out. I'm going to have them back. Okay, you go ahead and do that, and I'll stay here. But it was we literally had a conversation like we're sitting in a living room.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, rounds are going around.
I remember it quite well.
But we were very clear with each other.
Yeah.
And we weren't mincing words, and we weren't caring about whether I hurt your feelings or not. If I disagree with you,
because it was irrelevant.
It doesn't matter whether I hurt your feelings.
As I say, it's candor over charisma. You and I, after the fact, hurt each other's feelings. Great, we'll go get a beer when the thing's over. But in this moment, I need you to move the vehicle. And you did. And it was great. And everybody worked out. And I always appreciated that about war and that environment. And I think it's what attracts a lot of people to it. I think so. That and the free franking privilege, the ability to send mail home for free. I mean, let's not discount that.
Yeah, MRE letters.
Oh, yeah.
My wife has a stack of those still.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I sent a few out. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Maybe those will go in the Marine Corps Museum someday.
I thought
the MRE cardboard letters.
Didn't we have like a small something? I know First Recon did, but I thought there was something from Generation Kill that made it in the Marine Corps Museum.
Did they? I saw. So I was, because I go out there fairly often for work.
Yeah.
And so I had never been to the Marine Corps Museum.
It's a great museum.
I'm down in Quantico all the fucking time, right? For other things. And I was just like, fuck it. I'm going to stop at the Marine Corps Museum and just go through. So it's just me and this old ass man who is bored. And I'm like, show me around, bro. You know? And they were just getting ready to open the Iraq War wing or section of it. So you couldn't walk through it yet. You could just like kind of look down in it. So I was looking down in there being like, is there anything I recognize from there? You know?
I think there is.
Because, and two, it's probably not as much for you, but like for me, when I talk to other veterans that have been to either Afghanistan or Iraq, their experience of those two places is absolutely nothing at all like my experience with those two places. Right? I'll get some veteran to be like, oh, were you at FOB blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, that didn't exist when I was there.
Yeah, there were no fobs.
Do you remember the Burger King at whatever?
Nope.
No, I don't remember that because that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Like, we slept in fucking holes.
Yep. Yeah, we dug holes in the dirt.
There were no bases.
Nope.
There was no running water. There was no amusement. There were no phone centers.
No.
Right. And for both for me. Like I never went back. So
Right.
So for me, those two places are sleeping on the ground in holes
Yeah.
and having absolutely nothing there.
The proper
You know.
invasion.
And most people that have been there all know Fobs and Burger King and all that kind of stuff. And they try to relate. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
None of that stuff existed, bro.
You were there at the beginning. It was,
Yeah.
it's funny because in my latter portion of my career, not many, but there were people that I would interact with that were not alive when those towers fell. And I'm like,
That's insane to think about. Yeah.
I was a sergeant when the 9/11 happened. We were on ship.
We were getting
like,
drunk
Yeah.
in Darwin, Australia.
That's right. And then the whole
Yeah.
world stopped turning for 24 hours. And yeah, so that was the most, I think that's what ended it for me. Like, okay, I'm officially fucking old. Yes. I'm sorry, Lance Corporal, you were born when? Yeah. And now, of course, I don't know there's not many people that I knew that are left enlisted anymore. There's people that I interacted with in an official capacity at Fort Benning at the Basic Airborne School or others. And I'm like, yeah, you were there. You yelled at me.
Like even the guys that were junior when we were there are retiring now. Like
Everybody's out.
Baptista, because Baptista's working with you now, isn't he?
Yes.
A different group.
Right.
But yeah.
Yes. So, and it's popular. It's where a lot of folks seem to end up
Yeah.
because you get a lot of what we loved about recon community with much higher pay
Yeah.
and freedom of movement.
It seems like
a better
90% of
schedule.
people all end up there.
It's good.
And then they get out to try and do something else.
Don't do
and
it.
And then they go back.
Nah, it's golden handcuffs. You
Yeah.
end up staying because
Yeah.
you're like,
So that's why I never went that route.
yeah.
Because
And
I wanted
it's
my
great.
wife. I did not want to be overseas anymore. And when I first got out, the money was pretty awesome.
Well, shit, man.
You
You,
know,
got to have
Danny
some
Redmond-
corporal. Everything's better.
Yeah. Well, it was like 300, back in 2004,
Yeah.
and like Danny Redmond was calling me. He's like, bro, you fucking do nothing, come on. But I wanted my wife and kids and
Sure.
all that more than I wanted that. So
No, I think you made,
I was ready to move
absolutely.
on,
Yeah.
not keep living that life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people know your relationship with me and my relationship with you from the book and the television show, but there's layers that were not expressed
Because you can't.
because you can't.
Right.
Because there's
It took us
backstory.
years, right? How are you
Years.
going to explain it?
How are you
in
going to
less
do that?
than years?
Can't.
Yeah.
So you have the opportunity to now maybe air some grievances or peel behind the curtain. So
It is
how
about
is
that
it?
time a year. It's airing of the grievances time.
That's right.
So,
And then the feats of strength.
right.
So tell us a
So,
little bit about
yeah,
how
so
you came to be amongst
We were in the same platoon
this
in
awesomeness.
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I was in a different team. I was in Jose's team. So we knew each other from that. Blah, blah, blah. We lived in a 20 by 20 foot box for a long time on ship.
Oh, yeah.
All that good stuff. So when we came back, though, from Afghanistan, you got guys that get out. A bunch of guys went to First Force. People kind of move around and things get reorganized, right? Team-wise. So Fick comes in as a new platoon commander. I really did like Fick a lot. I think that was a good pick by Eric. I agree with that one. As if anybody gives a fuck what some corporal agrees with, but
Fair point.
so then it came time to form platoons. Well, at that point in time, there was a bunch of new recon Marines that had come over from the infantry, like Aspera, like Lovell, like whatever, right? And they were a higher rank. Okay. And as the Marine Corps goes, rank is rank, right? But what I really liked about the Marine Corps, it was very much a meritocracy Does that make sense? Right? Like,
At least in the recon community, it was.
Exclusively in the recon community.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about the recon community, right? Is that it was a meritocracy. It was what you knew and who you were, not how long you had been in and had a rank for, right?
Yeah.
Well, then it came time to start forming up teams, and and this is when you fucked me, right? This is when you fucked me straight in the ass with no lube.
All right, go ahead.
To a degree.
Just get it all out.
Right? So you convinced Fick to have me be your RTO, right? And Fick said, absolutely, Brad, whatever you want. Right? Or whatever he did. Okay? Whatever, Iceman.
I wasn't the Iceman then. It was coming later, but I get it.
But the sentiment is the same, right?
You were good. You were a good RTO. You were the best RTO in the
because
platoon.
I'm not a fucking retard.
And that's why I wanted you in my team.
I know how beep, boop, boop, beep, boop technology works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So you got recruited.
And so instead of being an ATL or a TL or something else above people that weren't recon Marines, they made infantry guys TLs and ATLs.
The Sparrow was an ATL. Yeah, you're right. And Lovell was a team.
Right.
I got it. Yeah.
Even though they were abso-fucking-lutely not recon Marines. Above me so that I could be your RTO so that you would have the go-to team that if anything came up and they were like, what team are we going to send to do it?
The A team.
They're going to say fucking Brad Colbert's team because he's got fucking person on there. They're never not going to have comms.
Right.
They're going to have this and that. It's you created a stacked team.
I did.
And so you fucked me.
Well, I mean, it all worked out in the end.
It did work out in the end, right? And so there's a little bit of that, not animosity, but animosity, right?
It would have been different. I mean, think about it just for a second.
Because at that point in time,
it would have played out a lot differently if you were
I was a corporal, you were a sergeant, you were the TL, I was the fucking lowly RTO.
No, not lowly.
But I'm saying from the outside looking in.
I'm just fucking
but internally,
it's too fun.
And maybe this is just me as a person, everyone in my life has always been a peer.
Yeah.
From when I was 8 years old, the 40-year-old teacher I had was my peer, right? Me now as a 45-year-old, the 18-year-old kid I meet is my peer, right? Everybody is my peer. You were my peer. And so it's kind of, I think a lot of that interesting friction in Generation Kill was that you and I were speaking to each other as peers, even though our roles and ranks didn't say so.
Yeah.
Right. So I was the RTO in your team, but people that don't understand the military aren't going to know that. They just know I was driving all the time.
Yeah.
The reason I drove all the time is because people lose their fucking mind when bullets start getting shot around. And I knew that from Afghanistan. I had seen that. You do not know how someone is going to operate under fire until you see them under fire. Okay? I'm fine under fire. Whatever. It's just a thing. Let's just deal with it. You know what I mean? There was no fucking way that I was going to let someone else be in control of my life if we were to get into a firefight because they're behind the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And the gas pedal and the brake pedal.
Yeah.
Right? I was going to be in control of my life. Right? Because I know I can handle it.
It worked out. I mean, Trombley was the slack man, so he wasn't going to do it. And then we were the only team that had
Trombley
two vehicles.
would have been the last person I think I would have let drive. I would have let Walt drive.
Yeah, but Walt was in the other vehicle.
As we moved on.
Yeah.
So, no. So originally we had Garza in our vehicle up in the gunner's spot. We quickly moved that out for Walt. Walt was in most of the time.
No, I thought it was the other way around. I thought we started with Walt and then changed to Garza.
Because Walt was in the first ambush we were in when we cut through that city.
Yeah, the gun, the 50 cal was
and they dropped the line.
Yeah.
And that got tangled on Walt, and I just fucking stop in the middle of the ambush.
Are you sure that was Walt? Because in the show it says Garza. Now I'm confused.
That was Walt Hasser. Walt Hasser is an amazing individual, by the way.
I know.
He's part of the country duo Wheat and Fields. I'm Wheat and he's Fields. We sing country music together now. That's our stage names.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it worked out. I think it worked out extremely well.
I was the driver because I didn't want to die at the hands of someone else.
Mm.
I wanted to be my own hands that led to my own death, if that happened. Right?
Yeah. It's a good story.
Because people do lose their fucking mind when rounds start coming down range.
I had Medley in my vehicle in 01, okay?
And Honcho and Snickerdoodle.
We almost, okay, you want to hear the ultimate, I will turn this car around? Okay. I'm going to tell a story that
because you had Dustin Hill,
yes,
the Ritalin Ranger.
Keep going.
Medley.
And
Honcho and Snickerdoodle.
And
Eric fucking Cucker.
Yes.
Didn't you have Mikey Phillips? Or
no,
was he on?
No, he was someone else.
Yeah. Okay.
I had Patrick as my ATL.
And Patrick. Okay, you had Patrick.
Yes.
You're good.
I was good.
Patrick was the Rock.
We were out. We took the Humvee. We had modified this Humvee with a piece of tubular steel.
Is this Afghanistan?
Afghanistan, out of Fob Rhino. And we put a caster. A caster, but with the wheel off.
We were literally painting the Humvees with house paint.
Dude, it was great.
To make them desert colored. And
so we took the 240 Golf, put it in the blades of the caster, and just shoved a cotter pin through it. And that became a pintle mount. It was fucking ratchet strapped to the back of the Humvee. Mm-hmm. Critical engine design error. It had no block from elevation and traverse.
So, boop, straight down at you.
Or, yeah, like I'm driving
with a 50 cal point at your head.
Yeah. Well, 240, so 762. But
yeah.
But it could point down into the open Humvee, not a hardback.
Yeah.
Oh my God! So we're out there.
We didn't have any hardbacks in Afghanistan. I didn't think.
Nope,
did we?
None,
yeah.
None.
Yeah.
So we drive out there. We got to do this LPOP, and it was like, I don't know, hours of driving. Ended up going through a minefield. Not important. Not it's completely irrelevant to the story. Lots of shit happened that patrol. But Patrick got into an argument with Medley about maintaining the spotting scope. It was his job to watch. He was on watch. Mm-hmm. And he says, hey, you have to look through the spotting scope to look for people. It's like, I can't do that. I can't look through the spotting scope my entire time on watch. I'll burn my eyes out. It was just ridiculous. And it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, I can't look through the scope that long. They got into an argument. And I mean, it was Medley.
Yeah.
You know Medley. And you know Honcho and Snickerdoodle.
Yes.
You know them all.
Yeah.
It was like his sophomoric, juvenile, just the most asinine shit that comes out of his mouth. And Patrick, in his calm Southern draw, it just got
the most logical.
And it's like, well,
individual you'll ever meet.
It,
yeah.
And it got to the point where I'm like, fuck it. Pack up your shit. We're going home. That's it. I don't want to hear it anymore. Everybody get your shit. Get in the vehicle. No, we're going home. It was that fucking ridiculous at one point. I'll never forget it. It was just the most ridiculous thing in the world. Because we drove through a minefield to get to the LPOP. Didn't know it. And then had to find our way back. Bizarre.
Was that when you guys went up to Kandahar or?
No, that was before.
Okay, before. Okay. Yeah.
That was a fun trip.
That was one. The fun story from Afghanistan was, so we had bedded down for the night, right? And we get a call from the P3 above that there's something circling us, right? They notice something circling us.
Yeah. I remember this story.
And fucking Jose loses his mind. So Jose was not an American citizen. He joined the Marine Corps to gain his citizenship. Mm-hmm. And so he gets on the radio and he's all excited and starts speaking Spanglish on the radio. We have to snatch the radio out of his hands and tell him he is no longer allowed to ever speak on the radio ever again. Right? Come to find out it was a camel.
Yeah.
It was just a camel.
Or what about the time that camel they had reports that the Taliban were strapping explosives to the camel, and the camel came close to the infantry's perimeter around Camp
Right, so
Rhino.
they lit it up.
They lit the fucking camel up, and the entire FPF goes off. There's like
wanted,
guns going off.
They just
crazy.
wanted to kill anything.
Anything that moved.
Anything that moved.
Yes, 100%.
They just wanted to kill something
Yes.
because they're living in fucking holes in the freezing cold.
They were sucking ass, dude. That was the most miserable. We at least had
We got to move around and go fuck off and do things.
and we were in the hangar. We had sleeping bags. Oh God, I used to go out, and that's where I first met Aspera. I used to go out and see a couple of the guys out in the foxhole,
Right.
and yeah.
And you guys would do your thing right in the foxhole.
Don't be jealous.
Right?
Don't be jealous, man. You can also do the thing. So we've talked a lot about Generation Kill. We've talked a lot about Iraq and a little bit about Afghanistan because it's just fun to reminisce sometimes. Did you have a idea what war was going to be like? Did you have any preconceived notions before we went in to Iraq? Because Iraq was much more kinetic than Afghanistan. Not that Afghanistan didn't have its moments, but it was tame by comparison.
Yeah.
So were you disappointed? Were you surprised? Was it worse? Was it better? What did you think? How did it measure up?
It's fairly on par with what I thought it would be. The one thing that I think maybe I didn't really think about, and nobody really does, is the boredom downtime part. There's a lot of boredom and downtime and more, right? We focus on the exciting parts, but those are fleeting and sporadic, right? The majority of it is just you sitting around bitching about waiting on somebody that's waiting on somebody, right? So that was probably the most eye-opening part of it, is that war is just a boring machine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you're just kind of waiting around for your time to have some fun.
So what was the dumbest part of it? What was the worst? I know, and I 100% agree with you about the boredom. Interrupted. War is nothing but long periods of boredom interrupted by intense violence. But you're very observant and you're very keen on calling out bullshit when it rears its head. I mean, there were a lot of stupid things that happened in 2003.
So, like, I think the stupidest time for me was probably actually before the war.
In Kuwait?
In Kuwait.
Yeah.
It was sitting at Matilda.
Yeah.
We sat there for fucking ever.
We did.
A couple months.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And it was nothing. And so it started to turn into garrison.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
100%.
We were ready for war, but people were still... You and I had been to Afghanistan already, right? We were already ready for that, to live that life, because we had already lived that life. But the vast majority of the Marine Corps had not experienced that yet. They were all about shining boots and pressing camis and garrison.
Yeah.
And so when we got to Iraq, I thought it would be, let's get ready to fucking do this, right? Let's get back into Afghanistan mode, right? But when we showed up, it looked like Afghanistan mode, but everyone was still acting in garrison mode. And that to me was the stupidest part, is they were still trying to pretend to be garrison Marines, even when we're in the field getting ready to go fucking kill and maim and whatever we were going to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was probably the most frustrating part to me, is just sitting there fucking waiting for the army to get all their cots and fucking air conditioners and dildos and cappuccino makers and whatever else they were bringing with them, you know, so we could go fucking kill and maim shit. And we could get past fucking haircuts and goddamn uniform regulations and all this gay shit that garrison people obsess about.
Sixto went to jail. You
Oh,
heard?
yeah. Yeah.
I ran into him at Free Fall Jump Master.
Because that's where he diddled one of the girls.
Right. Yeah.
And then I guess Riverside was the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think pretty sure he's still in.
Oh yeah.
Pretty sure he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's a huge piece of shit. I've hated him from the day I first met him. So
it was, whew, yeah.
you know, which was, it was interesting in Generation Kill, how they tried to like, they pinned him as this, like this character the whole way. And at the end they did the wink and the nod, like, well, if they hate me, that makes them better joined together, so they wouldn't get fucking sued by him or something.
Oh,
you know?
I mean,
and I'm like, the guy was a piece of shit. Like what, everything up until that point, he was not doing it for a reason. He was doing it because he's a fucking prick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I didn't. Yes. We'll just leave it at that. So we've talked a lot about Generation Kill during this interview, and I think it's for good reason. I mean, that is, as you said, what we are best known for. So we've talked about leading up to the 2003 invasion in Afghanistan and how you and I came to be in the same team. And then a lot about Generation Kill and 2003 and Evan. And we have not talked at all about what happened when we came home. So how was your return back to 1st Recon Battalion, having got your war on, and then your transition out and the fallout of the articles, which came out within weeks of our return?
Yeah. So not good at all. So I actually stayed back. So I didn't get back until July 4th. Right. When I had gotten back, everybody else was already on leave. And part of the reason I stayed back was because I'm getting out. Right. So I was getting out in November. And so I was like, I'll stay in the rear with the gear and just collect some more tax-free money, you know, my $1,200 a month or whatever it was. And so I'll just come back later. So I came back after the articles had released. And to say I was treated as a pariah is light, right? So I was very not welcome. And I could tell immediately that that was the case. So I quickly realized that I had become part of the scapegoat for a lot of people, right? There were a lot of people in the series or in the book, in the articles, that were not presented in the best light. And not to their own fault, right? Like, again, this is written from like a PFC perspective, right? So everybody with a higher rank is an idiot. You know what I mean? And so there were certain people that were thrown into situations where they were having to make do with the best that they had. There were certain people that were maybe characterized in a way that wasn't their full story, right? And they were not happy about it at all.
Yeah.
And they needed somebody to blame, somebody they had control over. And who better to blame than a corporal, right? Because you have control over that individual, right? You don't have control over Evan Wright. And so I'm going to take my anger and my animosity onto someone that I feel like was portrayed well in the articles. And so my first response was, hey, if you thought they got you so wrong, what makes you think that he got me so right? Right? Wouldn't he get me wrong too? You know, you can't have your cake and eat it too. But that didn't matter, right? They needed a scapegoat. They needed someone to blame and to vent their anger on. And I realized really quickly that I was, even if I stayed in the Marine Corps, which I hadn't really planned on necessarily, it could not have been within the recon community, at least at that point. And then the other part was I quickly realized that the Marine Corps as a whole was wanting to come down on recon with all 4 feet.
Oh, 100%.
So we started, you know, as with any cycle that happens, right? New platoon commanders come in, platoon commanders leave, right? Like the upper echelon staff transitions, and everyone that had normally been within the recon community was an intel officer or something like that, right? Like Fick was an exception. He wasn't a grunt officer, blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, they were intel officers because that's their role, right?
Yeah.
But what I started to see was everyone was being replaced with infantry officers. And their number one thing that they said when they came over was, we are here to fix recon. We are here to fix you cowboys. We are here to make you part of the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Because you are not right now. And I realized at that point, this little enclave that I found within the Marine Corps, which I can live in, is no longer going to exist. I cannot live here. Number one, I'm the scapegoat. And number two, my environment is going to radically change. Okay. So even if I did stay in the Marine Corps, it would not have been in the recon community. I would have tried to lat move into like counter intel or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Also, and I know you had an issue with this too, is that I was doing my checkout paperwork, right, to get out of the Marine Corps, and I happened to walk into the admin office, and holy shit, the warrant officer that's running the admin office was my drill instructor, and he was a staff sergeant at the time when he was my drill instructor, and now he's a warrant officer. And I was like, holy fuck, sir, hey, congrats, kind of deal. And he's like, Parson, I fucking knew you were going to make it in recon. And he was hyped that I was where I was, right? And he was part of it. And he's like, hey, I got your sergeant paperwork right here. Your first sergeant hasn't come and picked it up. And I'm like, you do? Really? Huh. That's interesting. No one has said anything about me. He's like, yeah, I've called him multiple times. And I'm like, that's very interesting. He's like, come with me. We went to his office, and he calls the first sergeant and reams him a new asshole, right? Because now he's a warrant officer, right? And he reams him a new asshole and forces him to pin me.
Good.
Which he absolutely was not going to do.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the only reason I ended up picking up sergeant was because my former drill instructor happened to be the warrant officer over admin when I was checking out.
That's unfair.
And I know that you had an issue with your promotion where you had to go meet with Mattis.
I had to go meet with Mattis and every sergeant major in the 1st Marine in the MEF, in the whole MEF, all of them, every single sergeant's major. And it was just like, here I was in E5, meritoriously in combat promoted, but they held the warrant back until I justified my behavior and my actions.
Right.
Yeah, I've talked about that on previous episodes, but that's the first time that I've heard that story. Yeah. That's tragic.
Yeah.
Because I left 1st Recon Battalion August 16th of 04 to go to the Commandos. And I was out. I mean, I was out of the Marine Corps for all intents and purposes for the better part of 3 years until I came back. So there was enough for a generation to leave
and come back.
So when I stepped back,
you'd have to do that.
Right. And so in many ways I did what you said, which is I lat moved.
You went from a pariah to a legend.
But surely a fluke in the sense that I just got lucky, got an exchange draft, went over with the Commandos for a couple of years, I'm glad that you had the opportunity to tell that story because I hadn't heard that before. That sucks.
Yeah, because I even put in for, like, how at the end of your 4 years or end of an enlistment, you can put in for 2 weeks of leave that's specifically to go to look for somewhere to live.
Right. Yeah.
I forget what it's called.
It's like house hunting. There's a word for it, but it's basically house hunting.
It's a thing you can do.
Yes.
I put in for that, fucking denied immediately. Nope. No, you cannot.
That sucks.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
And so at that point, I was like, is there a CAX I can go to or something? I literally lived out at CAX for the last however many months I had, just so I could be fucking away from.
From what I've heard, I think you and I bore the brunt of everyone's resentment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We did.
We were the face of it.
Yep. The other fellas were not as captured as, directly as you and I were.
Mm-hmm.
So that sucks.
Yeah. Now that time and distance has made its case here. So there were fun things like Captain America.
Yeah.
The reason he has that fucking name is because I fucking named him that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
years later, I ran into him at Quantico.
Yeah. I have no problem with him, right? Like, great guy. Love him. Little over the top.
Yeah.
But he's one of those ADHD, like, just over the top people, right? I have 2 children exactly like him right now, right? And like me. He got
a raw deal in some ways.
He did. He was again, these are intel officers being thrown into a situation where they're being expected to act like infantry officers. And they're not.
They're not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there was that one time we're sitting, it was pretty early in the invasion. You and I are sitting in the Humvee. There are mud huts off to our left. And all of a sudden, they decide, well, maybe there's somebody in those mud huts, so we should go investigate.
Oh, God, I fucking remember
He gets out of his Humvee.
So stupid.
He literally just runs right in front of our Humvee, right?
Yep.
Fixed bayonet.
Yeah.
On his M16.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there in the driver's seat, and I see him run in front of the Humvee with the fixed bayonet running to the mud huts. And I just go, oh my fucking God. Brad, did you see that? He has a fixed fucking bayonet. Who does this guy think he is?
Yeah.
Fucking Captain America?
Yeah.
And then fucking Evan in the back, ooh, Captain America. And then the fucking name stuck, and he's there forever.
Yeah. He can't shake it.
I really did like him a lot, actually.
He was a lot of fun before the war.
Yes, and after the war.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was a fun guy. I really did like him a lot.
He was like
he got a
bad rap.
He kind of got the shaft
in
that series. He got made to look like a retard,
and he's not.
But again, he's not a retard. He's a good dude.
But in that time and place, in that moment,
we were all characterized in that film. He unfortunately was characterized as a fucking retard.
Yeah. But also, for the record.
But again, he and Trombley were the same person.
Yeah. 2 sides of the same coin, but he was the one that fixed the banana.
PFC rank and one had fucking captain rank.
He was the one that decided to fix bayonets, though. I mean, there's a certain portion that he brought on himself.
They were both living in a B series war movie.
Yeah.
And they were fucking ready. They were ready to hit the beach. They were ready to fucking go fight the Nazis.
There wasn't any of that.
You know?
Yeah, just dudes in pajamas.
They were ready.
Yeah.
It was just fucking dudes in pajamas, with goats and shit,
Yeah. Yeah. Pajamas.
I wish I fixed my bayonet now.
I'm
regretting not fixing.
I don't even think I fucking had a bayonet to fix if I wanted to fix it.
Like if he just ran in front of us going to the mud huts,
it would have been one thing.
I wouldn't have said anything. Nobody would have said it. I would have been like, okay, whatever. He's checking it out. No big deal. As soon as I saw the fixed bayonet, that's when it became a thing.
Yeah, but it was wholly unnecessary.
Bro, what are you?
I mean,
what are you doing?
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
I would have loved to stab someone to death with a fixed bayonet, though.
I think everybody wanted to. Everybody wanted to do that.
But they had too much class to actually fix the bayonet to go do it.
True. I'm not going to close the distance.
He couldn't resist that urge and had to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He should have gotten his bayonet kill. This whole thing would have turned out differently.
If he got a bayonet kill, this would be a totally different story.
We wouldn't be here talking about it.
What a fucking genius.
It wouldn't have been Captain
Why?
America.
We should all
Would've been-
fix bayonet. Like he would have been
Yeah,
the fucking
legend.
Lion of Fallujah.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. Ooh,
Or
the
something like
Lion of
that.
Fallujah. Ah, that's a good one.
Well, on par, right?
Yeah.
He would have been the Lion of fucking some random
Town,
shit place we
whatever
never heard of.
shithole that took
Yeah.
place in. I don't even
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to refer to diagrams to even remember.
And they would
where
be
the fuck we
fucking
were.
telling stories about how he fucking fixed bayonets,
Yep.
right?
and stab that guy right in the
And
heart.
he stabbed the guy in the heart because he was so close
yeah.
combat.
Yeah. Locate, close with an intel guy. Who knew?
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's not what happened. And everybody saw him try to make it happen.
Yeah.
And now he has the Captain America moniker.
He does.
That
yeah.
could have gone one of two ways.
It did, and that's the way it went.
Yep.
He's an FBI agent now.
Really?
Was the last time I saw him. Now I'm dating myself. This was back in 2015. Well, I don't know. Josh, this has been great. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about a lot of the things that we did and remember them so fondly, and then some of the less than shiny parts. So it's been great. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And as always, I am the Iceman. Shut your mouth, Josh. Until
Hey, Brad.
Big Gay Brad. For the Iceman, I am Big Gay Brad. And remember, stay frosty. We'll see you next time.
Improvise, adapt, and overcome.